ki jai.
Yeah.
Gaura Premanand. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Hare Bo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. And happy Vyasa Puja Day of Srila Prabhupada to all of you.
Thank you.
Today, of course, is a very special day. So today, instead of studying a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam and discussing it, we are going to discuss the reason that we have access to the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is still a Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's just also a direct appreciation of our Srila Prabhupada, who has so kindly given us so many things, one of which is Srimad Bhagavatam, and the schedule that we're meant to keep in studying it. So what I want to do today is, because on Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, my favorite part about Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja is always getting to hear from many different devotees' positions on what they specifically appreciate about Srila Prabhupada. Because Srila Prabhupada has done so many different things for us that sometimes we're not even aware of some of the things, right? So, and one thing I very much appreciate about Srila Prabhupada and the way that he interacted with his disciples, and of course we have access to this through various books that have been written by his disciples. Satsarup Maharaj wrote a book. Hari Shari Prabhu wrote some books. Shruti Kirti, Mother Yamuna, Shama Sundar, Brahmananda, so many. So there are so many of these books. And what I love about them is that when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes it can seem as if it's not very relatable to us sometimes, right? We can appreciate the stories, but we're not quite exactly sure what that means to us. We don't really see exactly how to implement these things into our lives. But when we read the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, or we hear the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada from those who have had the great fortune of having personal contact with him, we actually get to see how the Srimad Bhagavatam is applied in life. And Srila Prabhupada was very exemplary in that regard. So what I want to do, I just want to prepare everyone first. So I'm going to read, I wrote a blog entry a long time ago, it looks like over 10 years ago, about Srila Prabhupada. So I'm going to read that, and then I'm going to say a few other things that I very much appreciate about Srila Prabhupada. But then I would like each of you actually to, whether it's a story that you've heard or just a general concept of something that Srila Prabhupada has done that you very much appreciate, or even if it's an excerpt from one of these books of one of these great authors, whatever you want to do. But I encourage everyone to do that. So I just want to give everyone a heads up now, so it's not a surprise after I'm finished and then everyone's thinking, well, if I had more time, I could find where in that book, that specific pastime. So everyone has fair warning. And so I will get started with mine. So this is It was a blog I wrote. It was called Selfless Servitude, but it was for Srila Prabhupada on his Vyasa Puja in 2013. Okay. As the name Krishna consciousness implies, the goal of our practice is to become conscious of the Supreme Lord in our every thought, word, and action, to redirect ourselves from a self-centric lifestyle to a God-centric one. With this end in mind, we gradually adjust and dovetail our everyday actions to bring them in line with Sri Krishna's desires, based on knowledge given to us by Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, that is, the spiritual master, the elevated saintly people, and the bona fide scriptures. Since we are all at various points on our spiritual journey, we possess varying degrees of selflessness in our character. Sometimes this can lead to frustration and or segregation. And oftentimes it can unfortunately lead to offenses toward our fellow spiritual practitioners and stunt our growth. But make no mistake, each and every Vaishnava is gradually working to achieve this selflessness. So we should be very careful to refrain from judgment. There is one thing, however, that we can all agree on because it is abundantly clear. When a person has a fully selfless service attitude, their example is extremely powerful, and their actions seem to accomplish the utterly impossible. And while overcoming that which would be considered by most to be overwhelming adversity, they seem to effortlessly carry on as if untouched by the powerful grip of material nature. Today, we celebrate the appearance day of such a selfless servant of Sri Krishna. It can be easily observed through his accomplishments that His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, was indeed motivated strictly by the desire to serve his Guru and Krishna. Although he was a spiritualist from birth, we tend to focus on the last 12 years of Srila Prabhupada's life, since they directly pertain to the powerful society that he created, which enhanced the lives of countless people. Just before his 69th birthday, Srila Prabhupada set out on a journey from Kolkata, India to the United States aboard a steamship, the ticket for which was begged for. With the equivalent of $7 and a case of books. During this austere journey, our Acharya suffered had two heart attacks among other health ailments. But because he was driven by the instructions of his spiritual master to preach Krishna consciousness in the West, he kept a faithful mood and took complete shelter under his Lord, Sri Krishna. With no followers to greet him in America, Srila Prabhupada bravely faced this strange new world with very few material assets. But within 12 short years, against all odds, he managed to start a worldwide movement with over 100 temples spanning 6 continents, all the while translating numerous volumes of books and other publications. Because he was a selfless servant of Krishna, he was never affected by his newfound fame, his huge number of followers, or any amount of donations. His only concern was that everything and everyone be engaged in the service of Krishna. In this way, he was able to remain transcendental to material energy, which tends to effortlessly tear a normal man apart. Our process is designed to redirect our consciousness from self-centric to God-centric. And as we progress on this path, material energy naturally has less of a grip on us, including the kind that compels us to consider a fellow Vaishnava as ordinary people. It is our goal to become selfless, not because we want to become free from material nature, but because we want to give our love to its rightful recipient. When we give all of our love, faith, and trust to God, we finally become a part of a true and everlasting relationship. Since Sri Krishna always has unconditioned love for everyone, it is entirely up to us to cultivate our love for him. We have to actively adjust our priorities from self-glorifying to God-glorifying. And when we do so, we can finally return to an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. And we have to work on this at every moment. It's not like Srila Prabhupada waited until he was in his late 60s to pursue his spiritual life. He was doing so since he was a child. And because of all of his training, he was able to remain strong when the odds were stacked against him. There will come a time, several actually, when the odds will be stacked against us. And it is in our best interest to prepare for those inevitable circumstances so that we can be strong enough to hold on to the Supreme Lord's grace and break through any obstacle that is thrown at us by the inferior material energy. Srila Prabhupada very generously gave us priceless transcendental wisdom in the form of his books and instructions. We must take full advantage of these gems at every moment. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for showing us the way. Please continue to give us your guidance and protection. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So what I also want to, aside from reading that entry, I want to say a few things that I very much appreciate about Srila Prabhupada that weren't mentioned there. Of course, as I mentioned, we hear so many stories of Srila Prabhupada, and different people are attracted to different aspects of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, for example, he was quite humorous, very funny. And so some people tend to stick to those stories where his humor is shining through. And others appreciate the uncompromising attitude that Srila Prabhupada had about the philosophy, right? And so some devotees very much appreciate the more serious side of Srila Prabhupada. And of course, we all appreciate every aspect of Srila Prabhupada in some way. It's just, some aspects tend to be more relatable to us. But what I want to say is that each and every one of us has a great, great debt to pay Srila Prabhupada. And it's a debt that actually can never be repaid. Its value is beyond anything that we will ever actually be able to do. What he has given us access to, there's nothing, absolutely nothing that we can do to repay that. But what we can do is do our best to follow his instructions and to become examples of what this movement that he started, this Krishna consciousness movement, what it has the potential to do. So if we ourselves take this movement seriously, if we take the instructions seriously, implement them into our lives on a daily basis, our character will actually change. And people will observe that. And people will wonder, oh, this person is going through so much positive change, and who doesn't want to go through positive change, right? And so they'll ask, hey, what's your secret? What are you doing? We see this happen all the time. It depends on what people's goals are. If someone wants to become buff, they see someone who is buff and they say, tell me your story, tell me your secret. What's your diet? What's your exercise routine? All of this. And if someone has a lot of money, people that are interested in money, they're going to come up to them and say, okay, tell me what your secret is. What do you invest in? What are your trade tips or secrets or like that. But what everybody is searching for in this world, whether they're also searching for strength or power or beauty or fame or wealth, what everybody is searching for is peace. They want to be peaceful. They don't want to be disturbed. Whether they want to be peaceful with their money or peaceful with their strength or peaceful with their, beauty, fame. Everybody wants to be peaceful. Nobody wants to be disturbed, right? Everyone wants to be secure. And Srila Prabhupada gave us this secret of how we can attain this peace. And if we do that and we show through our character that we have actually attained a peaceful state of mind, everybody, no matter what they're into, will want to know what is the secret. And that is what our process is. Our process, it's a preaching movement, and preaching can come in many forms, but the most effective form of preaching is by example, right? We learned the most from Srila Prabhupada's example. Of course, he's given us so many resources, and those resources are extremely valuable. Indeed, they're vital, necessary. But when we see Srila Prabhupada's example of how he actually followed these instructions that he's giving us, it's not that he translated some books and said, all right, this is how you're meant to act, and then he acted a different way. No, he actually showed us by example. Even if we don't understand the instructions, we can actually appreciate Srila Prabhupada's character. So in the same way, every one of us, each one of us that has come in contact with Srila Prabhupada in one way or another, it's our duty to follow this process to whatever capacity we can. We should remain dedicated, determined, and really make this valuable gift that Srila Prabhupada has given us our life, not just part of our life, but our actual life. The reason Srila Prabhupada was so successful in his preaching, and he mentioned this, is that he read, it was Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary to Vyasa Buddhi, where the Acharya mentions that the order of the spiritual master is one's life and soul. So our Srila Prabhupada, he took the orders of his spiritual master to go and preach in the West in English. He took that as his life and soul. That's the only thing that was important to him. That's why, after just turning 69, sailing across the ocean on a steamship, it's not a cruise ship, it's a steamship, and having 2 heart attacks, it didn't shake him. And even though there were points where Srila Prabhupada admitted he was looking at the boat schedule thinking, maybe I should go back to America. That was just a fleeting thought, because he understood, no, this is my life and soul. It's better I do this and die trying to do it than to go back and do something else. This is actually my life. So we are also to make this Krishna consciousness philosophy our very life and soul. Nothing should be more important to us. And if we do that, if we show Krishna our sincere desire to purify our consciousness, then we will automatically become proper examples, and we will inspire so many others to follow Srila Prabhupada's example. Again, he's given us so many different things. He's given us so many books and lectures and letters and conversations. He's given us so many valuable instructions. He's given us a schedule to follow, everything. He didn't leave anything out. So anyway, that's what I appreciate about Srila Prabhupada. So now, as I mentioned before, some of you logged in after I mentioned this. I am hoping that each of you has something that they very much appreciate about Srila Prabhupada. Maybe it's an excerpt from one of the books written about Srila Prabhupada, or maybe it's a story that you've heard, or maybe it's just a general concept of something that Srila Prabhupada was all about that has influenced your life. And the reason for this is because Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa, that's what it's all about. It's all about the devotees expressing their appreciation to Srila Prabhupada, and the other devotees being able to hear and see different angles of what Srila Prabhupada has given us, so we can actually broaden our understanding of the vast gifts that Srila Prabhupada has given. So I'm going to end here, and who would like to go first?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I'm always cutting in line, so I'll go first.
Please.
But I'd like to think that I'm giving others a little bit more time to three things that I wanted to say. And I've always mentioned this. Just 1 second, I'll turn off my other
Hare Krishna.
I've mentioned this many times before, almost every Vyasa Puja. This is what I acknowledge. Until I came to Krishna consciousness, this was in 1984 in Denver, I only learned to go to temples to ask for something. The most ridiculous desires had to be fulfilled, and so that's why. And I feel, to me, that has been the biggest lesson I have learned from Prabhupada. You don't go there to ask, you go there to glorify. You go there to glorify. The other point that I was thinking was what you had mentioned. As grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada, as disciples of Srila Prabhupada, we have to understand what our duty is. We do represent ISKCON in some form or shape, and so it's our duty to be on our best behavior, because when people see us, we do carry that responsibility on our shoulders. We need to behave a certain way so that we don't have this great movement maligned because of us. And so that's one responsibility. I am trying my best. I won't say I'm there, but I'm trying to remind myself, I need to be on this behavior because, and people will say that, when I get upset, oh, so how come you get angry, so I have to learn how to handle my anger so that I don't bring a bad name to the movement. And the third thing, and this is also one that I'm still struggling with, going out and preaching, because that is what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to do, is spread this message, give this wonderful knowledge, wonderful gift that we have, spread it around, have more people benefit. I'm still lagging there. I have to be able to get my courage to be able to go, and this is what my Guru Maharaj has also expected of us. And so another reason why I should be doing it, I'm praying to Srila Prabhupada, to Guru, to Krishna, Mahaprabhu, to give me that intelligence, that wisdom, that strength, that courage to be able to go out and do that for Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhu.
Good, thank you. Very nice. Who's next? Vinjavali, are you next?
Yeah, I'm here, Prabhu.
Would you like to share an appreciation for Srila Prabhupada?
Yes, Prabhu. I just have to learn a lot that what Prabhupada did it. It's too late for me, I think, in my life.
Never.
And then, like my daughter says, Sobarade says, book distribution, preaching out, I love to do, but my body is not permitting. Sometimes, I need some help to go and do. but mentally I feel that I want to do it. I did a little bit. I know how to do. I did little bit, but now, as I'm telling you, my age, my body is not permitting that much. Not that much, but I should do it a little more. Like at 69, when Prabhupada did it, why can't we do?
Yeah.
That is the spirit we should have. I can do it. I want to try.
You have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to engage others in service. I'll tell you a story. There's one, pardon me. There's one Russian Mataji, older, and she always wins the Srila Prabhupada's marathon. And she actually has an assistant because she can't carry the books, too heavy. So she has a brahmacharya that's just carrying books around and, hands her one at a time, and she goes and she distributes all these books. And she distributes so many. I don't even know the number. I don't even want to say a number because I'm going to be wrong. Yeah, so inspiring. So there's different things you can do if you really are enthusiastic. Assistant, or even, you could just sit on a bench and call people over. Here you go, take this book. Sometimes that's also a nice thing. People just want to sit down and have a nice conversation. Anyway, I'm sure you're doing wonderful. That just, when you said that, it just reminded me of that story.
So I pray Prabhupada, I should be asking, but he says body is not permanent.
Yeah.
But I just want to ask him to give me strength to do that. That's all.
Yeah. Very good.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Okay. Who wants to go next? So many things that we can appreciate about Srila
Yes,
Prabhupada.
it's true.
But it seems that everyone is shy, even though I gave notice.
Money is not important, he showed. Without money, he came all the way here. And then that is one thing. Money and richness or anything, that is not important. If we try, it will happen. That's all. That determined me to have.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, my reflection, Prabhupada said that we should always be faithful to Srila Prabhupada and always be faithful to all his devotees, all his disciples, especially his disciple and grand disciple, because they all represent Srila Prabhupada. So sometimes if we do try to find fault with some of these things, indirectly, we are thinking that Prabhupada, this is everything that ISKCON itself is Srila Prabhupada creation. Sometimes we tend to find fault in ISKCON, in management, in so many other things. I'm just thinking instead of finding fault for me, it's just go and help and do whatever best I can do to help, in whatever capacity I have to help whenever there's some lacking, even I cannot do so much, but even little bit help. So, I just appreciate Prabhupada creation, Prabhupada temples, and we shouldn't be separatists, have our own program, like a lot of devotees have their own thing and try to stay away from Prabhupada temple. Maybe some other people are taking care of the temple. That doesn't mean they belong to them. ISKCON temple belong to everyone, and Prabhupada opened like a big house, everybody can come and help. So my desire is just to always help Srila Prabhupada temples and wherever I am.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I would like to appreciate Prabhupada that the age he came in USA and and inspired everyone. And this is a big movement what is going on, because I am also dealing with so many health issues, and sometimes I am so much depressed. So like today when I heard again his story, I feel that no, I should keep all this aside and move forward. So then Prabhupada and Lord Krishna will help me. So that is the biggest thing. Yes, he had built so many temples and written so many books. But the first step, what he took to come here, that is the biggest thing for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Prananath Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for sharing this morning on this auspicious day. I'm not prepared much to speak, but just a few points I was reflecting on is as some of you said, that we are all enjoying really the fruits of all the efforts that Srila Prabhupada put in. So many of us around the world are benefiting. Wherever I go, somehow or the other, there is devotee association around the world, wherever I'm traveling. It's so amazing from where Srila Prabhupada started and today where we are, this movement. At every walk of life, somehow or the other, I can feel his presence, in so many different ways, benefiting uh, um, through the association of devotees, through prasadam, so many, wherever we travel, you know, and then I also really appreciate uh, uh, that through Prabhupada, we have his disciples and grand disciples, who are living, according to his teachings, who are wonderful examples of all his teachings, of all his love and spiritual compassion. So I really appreciate all the Prabhupada disciples who are there, who are really living life based on Prabhupada's teaching. So I'm very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for giving his disciples and grand disciples in my life. And also after, reading the Lilamrit, I could slowly start appreciating a tiny bit of Prabhupada's immense sacrifices and unbelievable uh, dedication, determination, and so much compassion amidst all challenges. When I sometimes think, oh, my life is full of this problem, that problem, it feels like nothing, So there is nothing that Prabhupada didn't go through, combined so many thousands of people's or millions of people's. When I see the problems in my life, it gives so much of hope, and remembering all those sacrifices and the difficulties or challenges that he went through, gives me so much of hope. And I pray, at his lotus feet, so that I always remember all these sacrifices, so that I can, always continue to serve his mission as a very, 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 very insignificant servant. Thank you, Prabhu. There's a few points I want to share. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Anyone else? it's amazing, not just what Srila Prabhupada accomplished, but when he accomplished it in such small amount of time. I'm not even 50 yet, and I can't do the things that I could do 4 years ago, not even close, physically. And I can't imagine being in a much older body and traveling to an unknown country, having heart attacks on the way. I definitely would have given up. It's, I'd like to say that I wouldn't have given up, but I absolutely would have given up. So we don't realize how much we owe Srila Prabhupada. And the more we understand about him and about what he did for each of us, then the more we realize, okay, yeah, I have to get serious about this, because he put so much of his own life and soul into giving us these unadulterated instructions. And it's not like he's giving us like a recipe to make a really good cake. He's giving us the means to end our suffering, our perpetual suffering. That's what we're here doing. We're perpetually suffering. And so he very carefully outlined, not only did he very carefully outline, but then, he drew us each an individual map and then showed us what to do. It's amazing all that he's done. And he wasn't bothered one bit about with bodily concerns. They didn't really slow him down. Sometimes he would travel somewhere because his health was not so great, but he'd still be accomplishing so much. And it's, we don't see that, and that's because he was selfless. He understood that, no, this is Krishna working through him, and that's what we're meant to do. And as Sobarade Mataji said, we do have to become proper examples, because if the way I like to think of it is that so many books have been distributed throughout the world, and not just by the Sankirtan devotees. Obviously, most of them were distributed by the Sankirtan devotees, but then some of those people that got those books, they weren't really interested, but for some reason they felt inspired to give the donation and take the book, so they would give it to someone else who, they might appreciate it, so they're even doing Sankirtan. And some would end up in used bookstores, and so somehow all of these books, so many, I can't imagine how many. I'm sure there's record of how many books have been printed and distributed. So many books are out there in so many different languages, and people are getting them and they're reading them and they're seeing this beautiful philosophy, way of life, culture, right? And then they're sold on it. They read Srila Prabhupada's books and they're sold on it. Like, okay, this is what I want. This is perfect, right? And then so they go to the back of the book and they look up, okay, what are the temples that are near me? And they try to call the numbers, but the numbers are different now. They try to email, all the email addresses don't exist anymore. Somehow eventually they come and they meet some devotees. And wouldn't it be nice if the devotees behaved in the way that is described in those books, right? It's such, the reason that I was unsatisfied with the religion that I was brought up in was because I saw that the people who considered them followers weren't actually following. They didn't take it seriously enough to actually follow the instructions that are given in their books. And so I can say with absolute certainty that if I encountered that same phenomenon when I found Krishna consciousness, I would have kept going, because I kept going through I went through so many philosophies. I read them. I appreciated what I was reading, the core fundamental, philosophy of each one I read. I was like, okay, this is great. But then I would meet some of the people that were so-called followers of it. And they didn't impress me. They weren't really following. I was like, no, I want someone that takes this seriously. So we need to take it seriously for those people, not just for us, but for those people who are encountering Srila Prabhupada in some way or other, whether it's directly from book distributors or a friend gives them a book, or they check one out in the library, or they find one in a used bookstore, or they see one on the ground and they pick it up. So many stories you hear from book distributors, all these different stories about how, somebody got a book and then they ran into them on the street and they said, hey, I didn't get a book from you, but I found one over here and I read it and I love it. And, I want to know more. I need more books, So we hear these stories all the time. So Srila Prabhupada is inspiring people left and right, all over the place. And so it's not just in our best interest, it's our duty to become proper examples of what's there, what's given in his books, to whatever extent we can. And so we should always be making progress. It's not that we should feel, oh, I'm nowhere near the proper examples, so just hide or something. No, it's just that we should try our best to advance spiritually according to the instructions that Srila Prabhupada gave. And people will notice that. People will notice the growth, even if we're coming from a very low position. They'll notice that growth, and that's very inspiring. Anyway, I spoke more. Is there anyone else now that is willing to share an appreciation of Srila Prabhupada? I think we went through most of you, but there are a few, or a couple anyway, that didn't. And even if someone went before, if they want to add another one, that's also fine.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I just remembered something.
Good.
Hearing and reading through Srila Prabhupada's books. I mean, of course, before reading these books, before coming to Krishna consciousness, I was thinking, material knowledge and material success is the goal of life. But, reading through these books, I found that for so many of, these scientists or materialistic people are breaking their heads to solve so many problems. And Prabhupada has given simple solutions to all the complex problems. Whether it is within ISKCON, outside, for everything, just I find it very amazing to see those simple formulas, simple solutions, no matter what complex the problem is, which I really, really appreciated. And the more I read these purports, the more I find this, which I personally really started loving after hearing and reading Srila Prabhupada's book purports, is those simple solutions to complex problems.
Thank you for adding that. Anyone else? We have time, or we can end early too. So one thing I've always appreciated about Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja is how intimate it usually is, because it's after Janmashtami, so devotees are celebrating till deep into the night, and early the next morning you don't find you don't find many, but what you generally find are those who really appreciate Srila Prabhupada. And so if we're fortunate, we can come across some of those devotees and really get a deeper understanding of different ways that Srila Prabhupada can be appreciated. I'll share one more story. This story, I tried to look it up to see if I could find it, but I couldn't. But it was the way it was told to me several times from several different people. So it either actually happened or it happened in a slightly different way, but enough senior devotees heard it. So take it with a grain of salt. But one of the things I've always appreciated about Srila Prabhupada is a sense of humor. So one, for example, that everyone knows, and this one's verifiable, is there would always be these reporters, these newspaper interviewers, and they would always try to, reporters just try to do these quick statements that kind of try to make it look like you don't make any sense, right? Because they want to have all the power. They don't want to do that. So one person asked Srila Prabhupada, he said, you say your God is all powerful, yes? He said, yes, he's all powerful. He said, okay, so is he so powerful that he can create a mountain that's so heavy that he can't even lift it? And of course, the reporter, it doesn't matter if you say yes or no, it means God is limited, because either he can't make the mountain, which makes it limited, or he can't lift it because he made it was too heavy, right? But Srila Prabhupada, didn't faze him at all. He said yes, and then he would lift it, because he absolutely can, because he can do anything. He can make a mountain so big that even he can't lift it, but then he would lift it because he's not limited. So these are some of the stories you can pick up. But another one, this one again, I'm not sure exactly how or where it happened, but I was told that it's a morning walk, and on the morning walks, often there would be a whole lot of disciples following Srila Prabhupada around, listening to him. So they're walking through a neighborhood, and when you listen to some of the morning walks, you can actually hear Srila Prabhupada's cane on the ground. They're quite nice. I highly recommend listening to all of these, the lectures, the room conversations, the morning walks. They're all very great. So walking through this neighborhood, and they see a big fancy car, right? And Srila Prabhupada points to it. He says, one day we're going to have a big car like this for Krishna. And everybody said, Jai, Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, Jai, do that. And then they're walking and they see this big house. So Srila Prabhupada pointed, he said, one day we're going to have a big house just like this for Krishna. Jai, Srila Prabhupada. Jai, Srila Prabhupada. Walking. And then he kind of wants to mess with him a little bit. And so he sees there's a person walking a very big dog. And he points and he says, one day we're going to have a big dog like this for Krishna. Devotees go, Jai, Srila Prabhupada, Jai. And he's like, you fools, what would Krishna do with a dog like that? Anyway, it's one of those things where it's he shows that we should blindly just accept things, that we should use our intelligence. And the intelligence, as we understand from Bhagavad Gita, can be strengthened by verifying everything with Shastra. So if instead of listening to the various voices that are in our head currently, whether they be our old teachers or mentors or idols or parents or siblings or relatives, all the different things that we've heard, instead of those voices in our heads determining what we accept and we reject, it's the voices of the great devotees, the guru, the sadhus, and the Shastra, right? And so our intelligence can be purified by accepting the scriptural influences and rejecting the mundane influences. As simple as that. There's always matter and there's spirit, right? And anything can be engaged either materially or spiritually. So intelligence, mind, anything, item, a thought, a word, actions, everything, concepts, either spiritual or material, depending on what our consciousness is. If we're thinking of ourselves, then it's material. If we're thinking of Krishna and we're doing it for him, and it's actually based on the Shastra, what we understand with intelligence, then that's good. So if we build up this intelligence and we understand Shastra, then we can understand everything that we come encounter with. We can understand how it can actually properly be used in Krishna's service, and whether or not that thing should be utilized by us in Krishna's service, or if we should let someone else utilize it in Krishna's, right? So the intelligence needs to be there. And so Srila Prabhupada, with his humor, would sometimes test his disciples to see if they're actually using their intelligence or if they're just being yes men. Okay, is there anything else that anyone wants to add? Appreciations for Srila Prabhupada? Okay. If not, then we will end here. Yeah, okay. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Vanchakalpatarusha Kripa Sindhu
Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for tuning in.